Welcome to Men's Health Weekenders. My name is David Morton, and today I am doing a FaceTime with Matthew Fraser, who is the 5-time consecutive CrossFit Games champion and fittest man in history, I think is the official title now. Yeah. If you can quickly just tell us where you are, Matt, and what you've been doing this morning, and then we'll crack on.
First off, thank you for having me. Right now we are in Tennessee. We've been on the road bouncing around, seeing some family for Thanksgiving, and so we're back home in Tennessee for a week before we get in the car and take off again.
Fantastic. Obviously, last year was quite different for you as an athlete. How weird was the whole last season for you?
The 2020 season, with any sport, no one saw it coming. No one had a plan of attack in case shutdowns happened. So I think first and foremost, I'm just grateful. I'm sure a lot of the other athletes are just grateful that some form of the season happened. And then looking at, what the people in charge were dealt, I think they did a fantastic job with, putting something together and making it a great test. The hardest part for us was, it was just the delays. They kept thinking that they could delay it 3 or 4 weeks and then pick up right then. But for the athletes trying to train, we're on like a 16-week training cycle or taper. And so we'd get like 4 weeks out, we'd have 4 weeks left in our training cycle, and then it would be delayed 4 weeks. So it's not enough time to take a complete week off and reset and start over, but it's too much time to just carry on through and make our training cycle 20 weeks instead of 16. So I think it was delayed 3 or 4 times, and it was like 4 or 5 weeks a piece. So, for us, our actual competition season was probably about double in time than it has been in the past. So that was the toughest part for us, of just we think we get into the light at the end of the tunnel and have to jump back 3 or 4 weeks. Light at the end of the tunnel, jump back 3 or 4 weeks. So that was tiring. That was tough. The mental battle of when is this going to end was always at play. But I'd say that was the toughest part for us.
Just like a constant state of semi-readiness and like, are we going to go?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I put a lot of emphasis on my off season, on my recovery. After a competition, it's a week completely off. After the games, it's usually 1 to 2 months completely off. So this was, never getting to get that time off to kind of hit the reset button, let your body recover, let your head recover. So that was interesting. That was a curveball that I don't think anyone saw coming.
When you actually made it to the games this year, to the live event, which obviously was like a massively trimmed down version of, the 40 men, 40 women and 40 teams down to 5 men and women. Obviously the differences are pretty obvious there, but how did that affect your kind of mindset going into the competition?
So leading up, some of the powers that be were kind of looking for input from the athletes. They sent out a survey. If they actually read the survey or listened to it, who knows? Or if they were just kind of giving the athletes a sense of opinion. And so, they were asking for dates, and I voted for the earliest dates, and apparently everyone else voted for the latest dates. But I remember having a conversation with the owner, and the idea of having 5 athletes on each side came out, and I told him, I was like, that's a huge mistake. It's going to skew the points. It's not going to work. there's a lot of unease when, the dates are up in the air. They're talking about, all right, how many athletes are we going to bring out? Are the athletes allowed to bring a plus one, whether it's a coach or your wife or whoever? That was really hard for me. Just the uncertainty of what's going to happen. The second that they came out with what is going to happen, it went with the opposite dates. I was voting for the absolute earliest and they implemented the absolute latest. I wanted as many competitors as possible and they went with as few as possible. So there's a lot of uncertainty going in, but as soon as they announced what the rules were, I was immediately at ease. It was for me, it was the completely unideal situation. But as soon as they announced it, I knew the rules I had to play by, and we started putting together an attack plan. So, it's one of those things of just tell me the task at hand, and I will put together a plan to attack it. Yeah. So, as soon as they announced, all right, there's only 5 competitors, it was like, okay, I don't like this, but let's look at the best strategy possible.
Which was to win almost all the workouts.
Yeah.
Because then you're not really at risk of those kind of like flip-flop points.
Yeah.
Which I know that's the concern with so few competitors, isn't it? Because you can finish 5th and get the least points, whereas 5th would be top 5 out of 40 is really good.
Yeah, it kind of depends. It changes. It can change your effort output depending on the scoring system, depending on how many competitors there are. Like there were some perfect examples from the 2019 season where usually, if it pays off to come first place in one event and then last place in another. If there's 2 events back to back and you can sell your soul in the first one and then crash and burn on the second, you would earn more points than if you come middle of the pack and middle of the pack. Whereas, the scoring system from the 2019 season, they made it linear. So it's even point distribution for every spot. And that didn't pay off, that strategy. So, it kind of changes your attack and your approach into workouts. The 2020 season, it paid to get first place. Spots 2 through 5 were an even distribution, but that first place spot, you got a little extra bonus, you got a little extra point spread. So it really did pay off to try to win the events instead of just throttling back, saving your energy.
The obviously for everyone who's been training and working out at all this year, or for the last year, last sort of 8 months, they've done a lot of training at home. If you were training at home with a regular 9 to 5, how would you split up your training? Would you do 2 or 3 smaller sessions, or just do one like mammoth workout?
So I used to, my first couple of years competing at the games, I was in school full time, and then during the summer, actually leading into the games, I did work a 9 to 5, sitting behind a desk, wearing slacks and a button up and a tie. And, it kind of depended on my schedule. I would try to get in 2 sessions a day, but most of the time I was only able to get 1 workout or 1 session per day. Usually I was trying to get in and out of the gym in an hour. If I had the time, I would stretch it out to 90 minutes so I could do a bit of a warm up and, have a little bit better quality and setup in training. But you can get in phenomenal shape in 60 minutes a day. It's a lot more focused on cutting out the unnecessary fat in the training session. So, if you're taking 5 minutes to socialize with a couple different people, like there goes 25% of your time. If you're checking your phone in the training session, there goes a huge chunk of your time. Your time gets zapped by looking at your phone. So there were certain things that I focused on of, the people around me knew that I'm not here to socialize. I'm here to get my training in and get back out that door. So, a lot of people left me alone when they sensed my urgency in the gym. I would leave my phone either in my car or in my gym bag. So it wasn't even a thought. If your phone's not in your field of vision, you're not even thinking about checking it. But just cutting out the fat, do a workout, you rest a couple minutes, set up for the next one, 3, 2, 1, go, hit the next one. But if I weren't doing this for a living, I would set it up. You can be very efficient, get in a gym, you do a warm up that is specific to your workout, just get a bit of a sweat, get the heart rate going, just a low impact warm up that your joints don't need to be super ready for. Then usually hit whatever weightlifting you wanted to do. So once again, lower impact, but getting the muscle stimulated. And then the last piece is kind of your Metcon, or the high heart rate, the thing that you need to be really, really prepared and warmed up for. But trying to program those 3 pieces so that they all complement each other. So you're not hitting completely different movements that, your warm up does nothing for the weightlifting and then your weightlifting doesn't do anything for the workout. So trying to align those 3 pieces can really compound each other, and so you get a lot more benefit out of it.
And would you always sort of recommend going in that order? So obviously your warm up is specific, then the weightlifting feed further sort of warms the body up, and you move into the high impact.
So I think that's a lot of personal preference. I know people that they prefer doing the high heart rate stuff before the weightlifting. I think it's probably more of a natural and kind of applies to more people doing the weightlifting piece first. Doing a workout after you're doing, lower volume weightlifting is probably a little bit more natural feeling. Because after you do your high heart rate piece, for a lot of people, weightlifting after that can be tough. Just your nervous system is zapped, your heart rate's through the roof, you're still breathing really heavy. So depending on your comfort level with technique and what lifts you're doing, for some people it's very appropriate. I do it a lot in training just for the practice, because a lot of times we have to do that in competition. So I'm completely comfortable doing it. I know some people prefer doing it, but I'd say for the mass majority of people, they'd probably prefer doing warm-up weightlifting Metcon.
Yeah. What would you say to someone who only had 20 minutes? What sort of workout structure or protocol would you recommend?
So I've been in this situation a lot where, from getting to the gym to leaving, it's like, all right, I have 30 minutes, I have 40 minutes. For those ones, I'd say the easiest suggestion is setting up an EMOM. So a workout that's every minute on the minute. And you set up 2 stations, 3 stations, 4, whatever you want. And the reason I suggest that is because then it's a defined period of time. So, if you get in the gym, you're like, I need to be out the door in 30 minutes, set up a 24, 25 minute EMOM. You have 2 minutes to set up, you have 2 minutes to tear down, and then you can use the first round as a warm up. So, I do a ton of 40-minute EMOMs. It's a huge part of my training. I do them once, if not twice a week, and they are grueling. But when I'm tight on time, I'll do the first 4 stations, so the first 4 minutes slow, not at my desired output, and just get familiar with the movement, get my body a little bit warmed up, and then the next 36 minutes I'm hammering away. But it's the big thing is it's a defined ending. So when you have 3 rounds for time, it's like, all right, I hope this is an 8-minute workout, but it could be a 12-minute. So with the EMOM, I feel like it's great for people that have a set window of time.
And those minutes, you're only 60 seconds away from stopping what you're doing, or 45 seconds away from the light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Yeah, I always set up the 40-minute EMOMs. I try to aim for, 40 seconds of work. You know, some stations they creep up to 50 seconds, but yeah, going into a workout where it's like, you know, like like a 40-minute AMRAP, so as many reps as possible in 40 minutes. That's a daunting task because, I mean, you're 40 minutes. It's tough to know how to pace it. That light at the end of the tunnel, it's far away.
Yeah.
So I find with the EMOMs, you're always only looking 40 seconds ahead. There's usually one station in there that's easier where you can lower your heart rate. Of the 4-minute cycle, there should be one station that is the daunting station. So it's just every 4 minutes, you're always looking 40 seconds ahead or 30 seconds ahead. So it breaks it up, and there's a lot of variety just going to all the different stations. So it's I know for me, it's a lot easier mentally.
I know you're fortunate enough to have, you know, amazing equipment in your home gym and also, all the facilities in the area. But if you only had one piece of kit that you could use the rest of your life, what would you choose?
Oh man, narrowing it down to one piece. Hmm. I think I would have to go with a barbell. I think, I mean, there's just so many different lifts. I mean, you can do a cardio style workout with a barbell, but it's hard to do like a strength session with a piece of cardio equipment. Um, so yeah, I think I'd have to go with the light barbell. But I think if you're able to get your hands on like a Concept 2 rower or a Concept 2 bike erg, um, as well as a barbell, I think that's the ideal situation. I think if you have, whether it's like a Rogue Echo bike or a Concept 2 bike to pair with the barbell, I mean, you're off and running, with the variety of stuff that you can do in a workout.
So that's basically the absolute sort of stripped down home setup. Like
Yeah, I get asked all the time, friends and family, even just random people ask me like, hey, I have this amount of money, what should I get for a home gym? And I think the number one thing I always suggest and recommend is just a barbell set. And a lot of people get tied up too on even just the barbells of, do I need to get like the best, the highest rated, the most expensive bar? And it's like, nope. Like, I do 99% of my lifting on the cheapest bar. And then it's so easy to go down the rabbit hole of, all right, I can get like a 360-pound weight set, but for this additional money, I can add an extra 100 pounds. I can add, I can get a full competition weight set. And it's like, nope, that's not needed. It's nice if you have the resources. It's nice if you have the space, but you don't need it. You're going to do 99% of your stuff with 300 pounds or less on the bar. So yeah, I don't think you need to overcomplicate it. I mean, my original first home gym, I had a Concept 2 rower and a barbell and a squat rack. That's where I did probably 70% of my training, was just with those 2 or 3 things.
Yeah, and then obviously all your body weight movements, you don't need any equipment
Yeah.
to do hundreds of burpees.
Yeah,
Right?
and then you can start adding in very valuable pieces of equipment that don't cost much money at all. So like getting a jump rope, just getting a pull-up bar. Like, it's not a complete necessity to have a full rig. You can just have a pull-up bar, even in a door jam. You can add in a weight vest or something like that. It's the sticker price on those pieces of equipment are far, far less than, the big ticket items, but it just adds a lot of variety to what you're doing.
When it comes to nutrition, I know you eat some pretty good food. I have to say that in case Sammy is in earshot. Do you have like a preferred sort of pre-workout nutrition or something, or anything that you eat or drink when you're getting ready for a workout?
Not really. Usually before I go to the gym, I'll have an espresso, but that's I'm drinking those on days I'm not going to the gym. So I don't know if you can classify that as a pre-workout or just, something that's part of my daily routine. I drink a ton of espresso. In terms of supplements, I have the supplements that I take into the gym with me. I have supplements that, I'm taking before, during, and after my training. But I think for the general population, it's not as important as everyone thinks it is. I put a lot more emphasis and effort on just having a well-rounded, consistent diet. I make sure my diet allows me to have an even energy throughout the day. I've fallen into the trap in years past of, when I would sit down, I was eating like 1-2 enormous meals per day. And I loved it, but my energy throughout the day were just these peaks and valleys. Like I would get to the gym and start doing a weightlifting session, and I'm getting lightheaded. I'm fainting with the barbell on me, and it's like, why am I fainting? And then realize like, oh, I haven't eaten in 16 hours. And so then I would leave the gym, go get something to eat, and just completely gorge myself. And then I'm like, oh well, now I have like 3 pounds in my stomach. I need to step away and let this kind of settle for a bit before I can train. And yeah, so it's just these peaks and valleys in energy throughout the day. So I really put an emphasis on, eating 4 to 5 times a day, but just regular meals at the same time each day, so that I knew what my body would feel like when I went into training. So yeah, like I have a pre-workout drink that, there's your typical pre-workout for, getting the blood going, like your regular BCAAs, creatine, glutamine, that type of stuff. During the workout, I would have, a carb shake that's just a ton of Gatorade powder, like probably a gallon's worth of mix in like this little tiny shaker, and then a protein shake for, as soon as the workout ends, having this protein shake. But yeah, I think for people, if you're looking to compete, yeah, I think that's a necessity. If you're just starting out, I think you need to have a consistent workout routine, consistent diet, and getting like a full 8 hours of sleep every night. And then the next step is looking at putting supplements into that routine.
You said that you sort of decided to be far more consistent with when you were eating. I think that's really interesting, because it feels like you're saying that as long as you're eating a pretty good diet, if you then eat at the same times every day, you can properly kind of monitor your energy levels. Would you say that made a really big difference?
Yeah. So for me, kind of talking about what I do, it's a little bit different than if someone's just looking to get into the space. Like I hate eating breakfast, hate it. But it's almost like I have to, because my first training session, I get up at 8 a.m. and my first training session's at 9. But then my first training session isn't over until noon or 1 o'clock. So if I don't eat breakfast before I get in there, halfway through the training session, my energy level is just going to absolutely crash. And I've heard some competitors talk about doing intermittent fasting, and some people love it, some people hate it. For me, it just didn't work with my training schedule. And then also for me, getting every ounce that I can out of my training session requires me to know, okay, what do I have coming into this training session? So if someone doesn't care about their performance and they're just looking to get fit, well then, you can kind of change up your diet. It doesn't have to be as dialed in. Your energy level doesn't really matter quite as much. Whereas for me, it's my full-time job, and, to be as good as that, I need to be as efficient as possible. So knowing what cards I'm dealt going into a training session really, really played a big factor.
Talking about sort of recovery, in the new year, people sort of get back into training or train more than they're used to. How, you work out a lot, it's your job, how do you know when you can sort of push through a bit of soreness or when you personally feel like you need to ease up?
Yeah. So on my end, once again, it's a little bit different than what most people should push through. But I know for my end, it's soreness. I always train through, and at a certain point, you stop getting sore. So even when I take a month off from training, it doesn't matter what I do on the first day back. I can do some 135 back squats, and I'm going to be sore. But there's a big distinction between sore and injured. So, if it's just your muscles are sore, then for me, it doesn't matter. It's, carry on with training, your muscle is sore, so what? The injury side of things, if like you have a piercing pain in a joint, that's a concern. So yeah, always trying to distinguish, is it sore or is it injured? And I think people need to know that, if you're having outputs of your body, if you're demanding your body to give you these desired outputs of training, well, it's equal and opposite. You need to have some inputs. So spending time to help your body recover, giving it what it needs to combat what you just put it through. So, if you're demanding a lot out of your muscles, well, you're asking them to tighten up and stay tight. Well, when you're done training, you need to put some inputs in to help them relax. So, whether it's you have like a massage gun or just like a foam roller or something like that, helping them relax so that you can go back to the gym the next day and ask your body to do it again.
What do you think that kind of level of attention is something that's undervalued by most people?
100%. I mean, it was undervalued for myself until a couple of years ago. My first couple of years competing, I was younger. My body could take a beating, and then I would sleep a little bit and feel fine the next morning. So, like even stuff as simple as warm-ups and cool downs after a workout, they were non-existent in my training day. Never mind, laying on the floor with a foam roller for an hour at night. Like, no, it wasn't happening in my life. But then it almost started out of necessity, of just, I had an injury and I had to rehab it. Like I didn't have a choice. And then I realized the benefits from that. And so I started implementing it in my daily routine, whether I thought I needed it or not. And, I just saw the benefits from it of, joints feel better, the muscles feel better. I'm sleeping better at night. I'm just feeling better throughout the day. And it's so simple, you don't need to stop your day. I feel like it's a very common thing. Almost everyone sits down in front of the TV at night. Well, you can still sit down in front of the TV at night, but instead of sitting on the couch, you're sitting on the floor next to the couch on a foam roller, or you have a massage gun going, just, if you had heavy squats, massaging out your quads. And it's unbelievable how good you can make your body feel for the next day.
To the counterpoint to that, what do you think people place too much value or concentrate on too much?
Oh man, I got a laundry list of stuff here. I think a big mistake that people make is overcomplicating their training. I think people make the association that if training is more complicated and more complex, that it's better. I see people, especially in CrossFit, they're trying to improve on their Olympic lifts. And so, they're doing these snatch complexes of like snatch high pull, a static snatch hold at the first pull, power snatch, overhead squat. Like they're doing this stuff all linked together. And, I watched that and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, no one does this. No Olympic weightlifter is doing this stuff. It doesn't have to be complicated. Usually, like, especially from an engineering background, simple is better. If it works and it's simple, it's better. So, I mean, there's a reason the fundamentals are the fundamentals. You know, like I remember when I did Olympic weightlifting, it like you weren't doing these accessory pieces unless you had a weakness in that area. Otherwise, you're doing snatch, clean and jerk, squat. You know, like you're doing the fundamentals because that's what you're trying to get better at. So yeah, I think just don't overcomplicate it. You know, it doesn't have to be fancy algorithms and all these calculations going into it. Especially if you're just starting out, just go in, just keep it simple.
Simple and consistent, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to. I've got a few reader questions. We did a shout out on social media for some reader questions. So
Oh boy, these ones are usually good. These
well,
ones are
yeah,
usually.
they're people have some genuine questions for you, which is good. So this is from Star Done 5. What is the toughest Metcon you've ever done?
Oh man, that's a tough one because I've done a lot of workouts. I think there's probably distinctions between what was the toughest and what one. You know, a lot of workouts are just very, very tough because you're unprepared for them. So, you know, Murph in 2015, I think there was a lot of factors into that one.
It's hot,
You
right?
know, I mean, it was boiling. You know, we're doing Murph at 2 p.m. in the California sun, and there's no water on the field. There's no shade. You're wearing a weight vest. You're doing Murph unpartitioned. So there was a lot of factors of just kind of, someone should have probably planned this a little bit better. So I think that one was probably the toughest because of all the external factors going in. You know, it was just you're trying to maintain your heat stroke. You're trying to like I remember doing the push-ups and feeling like my head was in a microwave. Like I never had my head in the microwave, but I remember in the push-up I was like, this is what it feels like. This is it. So that was probably the toughest just because everyone's dealing with this heat that is, there's nothing you can do about it. I think the toughest one physically was probably marathon row. You know, I don't think anyone in their right mind has ever tried to pull a marathon competitively. You know, I know there's people that have done it just as like a mental toughness check, but they're going at a pace that is sustainable. But I remember I hit 17,000 meters remaining, and I remember like my body started shutting down. Like mentally I was fine, but at the end of every stroke, my forearms, quads, glutes, and hamstrings kind of just had like the flutter of cramping. And I remember when it first started happening, I'm like, it's okay, you're almost done. I was like, the first digit on the screen remaining is a 1, and then you know you're into the teens. You're not at 19 or 18. You're a good chunk into the teens. I was like, you're almost done. And then I started doing the math on 17,000 meters at just under a 2-minute pace. So I was doing the math off a 2-minute pace, and I realized like, oh no, I have over an hour remaining. Like where I'm trying to soothe myself, like, you got like 15, 20 minutes left, dude. You're good. So yeah, it was over the last hour of that row, my body was shutting down, and it was just frustrating because mentally I was fine. You know, my heart rate's not through the roof. You know, I'm not trying to control my breathing. It was just my body was shutting down. And so that one was really tough. And then there's the quicker workouts, you know, like the hill sprint at the games in 2020. With that, you know, it's like, all right, this is 2 minutes. You can do anything for 2 minutes. But it was one of those workouts that it didn't hurt during the workout. You know, you're keeping an eye on your competitors. You're still fully focused. You know, you're very aware of where you are and what you need to do. But it's as soon as you cross the finish line and you stop moving, that's when the pain starts, and it just keeps getting worse for 10, 15 minutes after. And it just feels like your legs are ballooning up. And I remember that, like, I was having trouble walking. I remember like even getting in the gator to drive back down the hill, just being like physically in pain, and like, I wasn't really proud of how I was conducting myself. I try to stay very stoic and not show pain, but that one, I'm still kind of yelling, just like it really, really hurt.
The next one is from Ricky_Bishop_1. Do you ever get days when you just don't want to train, and how do you step out of it?
Yeah, of course I have days I don't want to train. It's usually when you're on your third training day in a row and you haven't had a rest day or an easy training day. Like this whole 2020 season, every swim, I swam more in the 2020 season than I have in my whole CrossFit career combined. Yeah, those days, there's, it depends on the day, what I use as my motivation. I think from person to person, I can't say, here, think of this and use that as it's going to be different for every single person. And I think it depends on what your goals are. Why are you training? Why are you trying to get in shape? Why are you trying to, better yourself, or, get these better times and workouts? Every person has a different motivation. Every person has a different reason of being in there. So I think for myself, there are some reoccurring themes that came up. I'd say the most common one is, what do I want? How do I want to be seen in the public eye when I'm at the competition? How do I want those results of the competition to look? Those results don't happen without these tough days. Those results don't happen without training, even when you don't want to. What I always thought, like, what do I want my story to be in 10 years and 20 years? What do I want to tell my kids, my grandkids? How do I want to be remembered? And, that those results don't come without those tough days. I'd say that was the most reoccurring theme. But then every once in a while, I just have to pull myself up by my bootstraps, and, even when I thought like I can afford a day off, every once in a while I have to say, like, no, this is your job. It doesn't matter how much you hate it today. If you want to get your paycheck at the end of the week, you need to show up to work. Those days, luckily for me, I really enjoy what I do. So they're very few and far between, but every once in a while, it was just kind of that tough love of like, nope, you got to go to work. Like, you don't have a choice. The one that I realized later on was, just making yourself proud. 99% of the times when I would wake up and be like, oh, like my body can't do a training day today. Like, I can't get through it. All my results are going to be subpar. I might as well take a day off. 99% of the time I get to the gym, start hanging out with Shane and Tia, start moving the body a little bit. By the time I started working out, my body felt fine. I'm great. I'm feeling great mentally. But then the feeling of pride on the way home from the gym of like, wow, I didn't think I would be able to train at all today, and I ended up having a great training session. That was awesome. So I think, going into a workout with the goal of making yourself proud, like being proud of yourself is a very, very powerful thing. And so I think once someone can find how to tap into that, that can be a very powerful thing.
Chug Gummies says, I'm new to CrossFit. What should be my priority? Weightlifting technique or building a bigger engine?
Technique. And even with the cardio equipment, there's technique on that stuff too. The rower is a very technical pull. It's a very unnatural feeling to do it correctly at first. But once you build those bad habits, in anything, when you have a barbell in your hand, any weightlifting movement, especially the Olympic lifts, once you have those bad habits created, they're just twice as hard to go back to the proper technique. I preach this to anyone that asks me this advice: work on your technique. It will pay dividends the rest of your athletic career. Not only in being able to build off your technique and, be able to reach further and, lift heavier weights, but also in the longevity of your fitness career. With proper technique, you're less likely to get injured. You're less likely to get pulled out of position. And then on top of it, you're going to be more efficient. So even with the Olympic lifts in a Metcon, I compete against a ton of guys who are way stronger than me. But once we start moving in a workout, I can walk away from them, because for every lift they're using 5 points of energy, whereas I'm only using 2 or 1. So even though they can outlift me in a 1 rep, all right, now we're going to go to 80% capacity and see who can hang on the longest. That's where I'm able to run away with them, because I'm efficient in my lifts. I have good technique in my lifts. So it's not as gratifying early on to be lifting lighter barbells and be working on technique, but it will pay dividends over and over and over to have proper technique.
I think that's a really good point, again, for people getting back into training after sort of a layoff in the year. I'm going to do a quick fire round, if that's okay.
Yep,
so
let's do it.
It's going to be an either or, and you've got to choose one.
Ooh, all right. We'll see on these. There might be a couple that I say pass on.
There's
a lot of interpretation into these.
It's not going to get. Don't worry, it's not going to get weird. So, first one: snatch or clean and jerk?
Snatch.
Pancakes or donuts?
Oh, pancakes.
Assault bike or ski erg?
Assault bike.
Whoa, that is a unpredictable answer. Coffee or CrossFit?
Coffee.
Yeah, correct.
Oh man, coffee or CrossFit?
Is it coffee then CrossFit? Is that?
Yeah, I'll go with that.
Yeah.
I can't pick one. I love both.
Cars or motorbikes?
Motorcycles.
Push-ups or pull-ups?
Pull-ups.
Pat Vellner or Brent Fikowski?
I mean, it depends what the question is for the comparison between the two. But if you're just saying the two names, I'm going to go with Vellner. I stay in contact with Vellner a lot more than Brent.
Squats or deadlifts?
Squats.
Training in the gym or training at home?
Training at home.
That's the right answer for a lot of people at the moment, I think. And now I've just got one final question for you, Matt, and then I'll let you get on with your day. What is the one thing that you think you've learned in 2020 that will make your life better?
One thing I've learned in 2020. I don't know if I learned anything that was 100% new. I got much, much better at dealing with adversity. Whether it's adversity that I brought on myself. I'd say the biggest thing I was dealing with adversity from other people. The 2020 season was riddled with people going out of their way to make my life more difficult. Just dealing with, like, it's everything that you see it happen and you're like, why would you do that? Like, you gain nothing from it other than seeing that it's making my day a little bit more miserable, or making me jump through hoops to carry on with my normal day. So I got pretty good this year at just, okay, you did that. There's nothing I can do to control your actions. And really sitting back and looking at what can I do? Like, I can't control someone else's actions, so how can I handle this? I got really good at taking emotion out of the situation, not making decisions based off emotion, sitting back and looking at the best plan of action that is going to put me where I want to be in the future.
That is a good way to end and to put people into 2021.
Yeah.
Matt, thank you on behalf of Men's Health. Thank you on behalf of everyone watching on Men's Health Weekenders. It's been really brilliant talking to you about everything to do with training and working out and, your mindset. And congratulations again on winning 5 times in a row.
Perfect.
And hopefully in 2021, there's going to be 40 competitors to go up against. Thank you again. It's been brilliant, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Perfect. Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks, man.